Hey guys, this is Tim Humphrey for Electronic Cafe. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a band that I found in the last 15 years. Probably one of my, definitely probably top five, top 10 bands that I found in the last 15 years or so. The band's called Wild Nothing. They're out of Blacksburg, Virginia. They remind me a lot of a kind of a combination of, I wouldn't say shoegaze or really dream pop. It's really just like an indie electronica. Um, They have a Jack Tatum, the singer, really strong voice. Can do some really well quiet talking, kind of singing, and then he does really, it's like some melodic singing, very unique sound, very talented. I believe he does most of the studio production, writes most of the songs. It seems like he's the lead by far in the band. Although they have some really unique and really strong band members. They use a lot of different instruments. I've heard saxophone songs. I've heard, of course, piano, keyboards, some horns. Definitely, Jack is into a lot of electronic rhythm making grooves and kind of exploring a lot of atmospheric and electronic processing sounds and things like that. So very talented. Of course, they got a drummer, a really strong guitar player who does some really good riffs, and I think that might be Jack because he's kind of the lead on that. But they do have another guitar player as well. I got a chance to see them right before the pandemic in Philadelphia, 2019, with my brother and his wife, and that was a really good show. It was a little packed. You know, sometimes I don't like to go to shows for fear of just being packed. I guess you have to be in a certain mind frame. Sometimes I'm in a mind frame like I want to be in a packed concert and have a good time, and sometimes I just want to listen to music and just kind of like be in a corner or be in a quiet spot where I'm not, in the middle of the crowd, but off to the side where I can get a good sound and just enjoy the show and kind of see what they do live. They put on a good show. They're very in tune to their album and their sound, and they do a great job. If you like the album, you'll have a great time seeing them live. So I wanted to talk a little bit about their album and my history of listening to them. So during the time probably of 2000, probably 8 and maybe 2012 or so, 2007 and 2012, I was working in wireless, and the Droids cell phones were just being coming out in 2007, and Pandora music really took off right then. And I listen to music all the time when I'm at home and when I'm off and things like that. And I didn't want to be distracted at work or driving to work or at a work meeting or anything like that with my normal electronic music. So it kind of gave me um, the chance to listen to Pandora. It became sort of like my radio station where I could find different bands in certain genres that I wouldn't that I liked, but I wouldn't normally be listening to at home when I was off. Um, so at that time there was a big cold wave push in the early 2000s, a big renaissance with dark wave and cold wave and new wave and synth wave was coming out, and of course dark wave was really strong right then, and indie kind of got into a little bit more electronic music. There was a nice combination of that going on, and Wild Nothing was certainly one of the best of that. That looking back on that now, uh, 14, 15 years later. The first album that I got a chance, or the first song I got to hear was Paradise off the Nocturne album, which happened to be the first album that I purchased from them. Excuse me. As soon as I heard the Paradise song, I was like, I gotta check out this band. This song is amazing. There's a really cool video for Paradise that the band did, where this girl is, going into the airport, and she's going on a flight. It looks like she's going on a trip, and It goes really well with the cinematic sound of the song. The song is very unique, very atmospheric, and really kind of electronic, and in a way, kind of I wouldn't say dance, dance music, but it's got a good beat to it for sure. The song is really unique in the fact that it just does one verse and then one chorus, and then has a really long breakdown and build up of the melody and the atmosphere. Comes back into the verse, the second verse, and then goes back into the chorus, and it's really unique. It's about a 5.5 minute song, and it really blew me away when I saw it. And a lot of times with there's a lot of indie bands out there, that have a good song, a good couple songs, maybe one or maybe even two good albums, but they kind of fall off. And so I don't dive deeply into a lot of genres because I mean a lot of the genres in indie and synthwave and stuff like that. It seems like a lot of them, and I'm sure I'll go over some in in my channel, ones that are better, because I'll highlight them as ones that I felt are better than the average. But I tend to stay a little tentative with a lot of the bands because it seems like they run out of ideas. It's not ideally what I like, and I buy so much music. I listen to so much music that a band really has to really hit a home run, quite a few times for me to gravitate towards their albums, like like they would like The Cure or Bauhaus or Depeche Mode or Pet Shop Boys or something like that. To have that kind of staying power of 20, 30, 40 years, So saying that while nothing's in their 14, 15 year with roughly five or six albums now, I can say that they're definitely going to be a band that I'll stay with um, through the rest of their career and hopefully as long as they put out music. So I got some notes here. I just wanted to kind of go over some of their albums and their songs. Again, this was the first album I got from them, Nocturne. Um, Two tracks I really like on there is that Paradise song, the one I found them on, and then the title track, Nocturne. It's a bit curious. It's definitely a standout track. Great melody. So this came out in 2012. And then, so I guess, I guess I found them in 2012 because this came out in 2012. So I apologize. It wasn't 2009, 2010. Right after 2012, I guess. Then I went and got their first album, Gemini. Really strong album. I think when you talk to most Wild Nothing fans that like the band, Gemini or Nocturne seems to be their album of choice, their strongest album. So right after Nocturne, I immediately went and got Gemini. A few of the songs on here, the first song, "Live in Dreams," the way the melody fades in, and they get a lot of Beach Boys comparisons in their music, and this "Live in Dreams," the first track is kind of an example of that. The way they harmonize and um, the way the melodics are and things like that. I guess I can kind of see. I'm not a huge Beach Boys fan, but I do like some Beach Boys songs for sure. Brian Wilson's obviously a world class talent, legend. Um, so I can see why they kind of got compared to them. It definitely has a timeless sound. The song Drifter, that's probably one of their most shoegaze sounding songs. There's times when Jack sings in a almost he sounds like a girl. He is just so high pitched and so either quieter, like he can almost sound like a girl. There's maybe a couple songs in their catalog where I'm like, is that a girl? And Drifter is one. It sounds like a girl singing, but then you kind of hear it and you're like, okay, well that's Jack singing, but just very unique, very very cool. It goes really well with the music, and that's something I harp on a lot. I'm sure you'll hear me mention that a lot, but I'm not so much into the songwriters' lyrics of what they're saying. I mean, 80, 90% of the music I listen to is probably instrumental, so I don't harp on. people's lyrics and what they have to say. I think for the most part, it's been said before. I don't generally like songwriters telling me how I should feel listening to a song. I think that's why I like electronic music so much because it it's like a blank canvas and you can really just listen and go from there and come up with your own conclusions of what the song is and how it makes you feel and ideally where you want to listen to it and things like that. So the great thing about his voice is it goes really well with the tones and the color of the timbres of the sounds and the instrumentation and the atmosphere and the production and just everything with it. His voice really sticks out, but then blends in really well. It's just an amazing sound. Um, Board games, great. Shows his experimentation with electronic music. That's kind of grown over the course of a few albums. I think when you get into maybe Indigo and his newest album, Hold, which I'll talk a little bit about, it really brings out the electronic music a little bit more and the rhythms and the grooves. A song like Board Games just kind of shows you some of the experimentation with electronics. Really strong song. Probably the last three on the album, our composition book, um, what's the other one? Confirmation and Gemini. Those three songs, just quintessential sound of Wild Nothing, atmospheric, tight pop that really kind of ascends. One of the really strong things that Wild Nothing do is it can be very verse, chorus, and very pop and tight, and 3 4 minute tracks. It seems like sometimes even 4 minute tracks is kind of a longer track for them, but they're so tight and so concise. And when they do kind of expand upon the song and the chorus and even a verse towards the end, it really kind of ascends to a point where the song really kind of hits home. And you like some certain things that come in them, and then when they really wrap it up at the end, it's just kind of some of the best songs. They just knock it out of the park. Like it's just they really kind of envelop the sound and it really kind of comes together and everything just really kind of comes to like a crescendo where you're just like wow that's magical pop music. Like they can really like knock, I mean, super strong. So Gemini, definitely one of their top three albums in my opinion. I think most people would probably put it one, if not two, if not three. um Very strong album, very strong album. So from that I actually then bought their third album, Life of Pause, and I think the artwork overall for the band, just while I'm on it, very cool. Every album is a little bit different, but they all definitely have a timeless kind of look to it. This one's probably the most different, and it's also probably the most different sounding. It's the longest album. A lot of their albums are 38 to 43 minutes. This one's actually pushing a little bit over 50 minutes. You can see the artwork has a little bit of a 70s feel to it. Um, you know, and this album I'll probably is I think is probably the weakest. It explores um, some different elements of their sound. I think it pushes the boundaries, but I don't. But I think they may have felt at the time that they were a little bit too stuck in a rut, or maybe they wanted to try something different. But I think it works. It sounds like a good album. It's very well made. I just it doesn't. It, they're all really good songs. There's not a bad song on there. There's just not really anything that really gravitates towards me. And this is where I kind of, like I was saying earlier, I felt like the band might be a one hit, 2 album wonder, and just kind of like fall off like a lot of the indie bands that I have. And so this came out in 2016. I bought it, but I didn't listen to it too much, and I still really haven't listened that much. Um, just because it doesn't. Now that I listen to the next 2 albums that came out, Indigo and Hold, it kind of makes sense. It's not their quintessential sound. I will say there's a song on here called Alien that I really do like. It's my favorite song on the album. But again, maybe I'll leave this to you. What song on here do you like, or what do you think about this album? Some of you Wild Nothing fans, what's the reason why I should go back to this? Is there a certain song that you like, or I'd be interested in your input on this album. So then you have 2018. Uh, that was the year that I believe that I saw them live. 2018, right? 2019, right before the pandemic. And I thought I thought they were pretty much, I wouldn't say done with, but I kind of disappointed in the last album, as I said, and then I decided to get Indigo, and I was immediately floored. This album is, it has to be my favorite of Gemini Nocturne and Indigo. There's just the album has so many good songs. Letting Go just kicks off the album. It's just pop brilliance. Partners in Motion, awesome song. Great drum track, great groove. Wheel of Misfortune, great song, great melody. It has like a sing along kind of jamboree type of campfire chorus that makes you want to sing along. It's just a feel good track. It's just it's just a great song. Another really excellent track on here that I like is Flawed Translation towards the end of the album. Another great song. Strings are amazing. Just a wonderful song. Not a bad song on here. Not a bad song on here. It has to be my favorite, and it really kind of made me go see them live again. But it just kind of, wow, this band has more to say. I think they steered a little bit clear of that. This one, I feel like they really kind of went back to the combination of what works for them. They have this like pop brilliance. They have this kind of riffy, kind of like there's a little bit of Johnny Marr guitar riffs, and then Jack does those kind of riffs. Sometimes they sound like a little bit like The Cure. It's definitely got dream pop, a little bit of shoegaze, but I would have to say overall, it's kind of an indie, and a little bit of electronica in there, or electronic music in there, for sure. But they really nailed it on this album. Just amazing. And then, which I have the album now. Actually, I did buy the album here. I'm not one of those, huge. If I buy something on vinyl and CD, it's definitely a band that I really like. Especially if I don't, DJ or mix them and just listen to them. So um, I'm not one of those huge musts when it comes to colored vinyl. I think it's cool. I think colored vinyl is cool. I could do a whole episode on colored vinyl, but I think it's pretty cool that it's indigo. That it matches the title of the album. I think that's a cool touch. Um, but good sounding album, good sounding vinyl. Just an amazing album again. Amazing album. So yeah, so on to their new album called Hold, um, which is right here. I would have to say that, I mean, this really nails it too. This is really hard not to put in the top three as well. This really shows that the band can do so much more, and they're really, I think, expanding on what works. Where this album not so much expanded on new territory, but I don't think it really expanded on what works, and I think this one does. This is a great album to test electronic stereos on. It's very well produced. Again, it explores a little bit more electronic sounds on here. Sounds very full. Headlights On, I think, is one of the singles. Perfect song. A bit more upbeat. Kind of threw me off at first. It was so upbeat. Um, Maybe a bit mainstream with the beat, but I think after a few listens, you kind of forget that, and it's just really like a happy song. But a really catchy song. Basement, El Dorado, very catchy song. Again, exploring more electronic sounds. The bass line carries the song really well, and catchy lyrics. I think of I don't get too much into the lyrics, but generally, from what I gather, while nothing kind of Jack kind of talks about love lost and ironic things in life, and he writes from a good place and wanting to see better in the world, and um, intellectual, introspective writing. Definitely catchy, unique. But again, I'm not too much into lyrics and things like that. I just really enjoy um, the catchiness of the lyrics, but also the tone of his voice and the way it goes with the music so well. Suburban Solutions is a single off the track as well, I believe. He did three videos from this album already in the first month it was out, so it seemed like those were the singles, and he put them out all at the same time. Really cool video as well. Suburban Solutions, really great song, really good song. Um, it's quintessential their sound. I mean, I could point to that song and say, listen to that, and you would know, you'd have a good idea what they sound like. Um, the song Dial Tone, solid sound, very Johnny Marr, Smith, Stephen, uh, and it kind of harks back to the Gemini albums, kind of the sound where it's a little bit more riff, more guitar riff, kind of leading the song. Historian's a good song. Excuse me. Alex is a really good song as well. Two songs I really want to mention that are my favorites on the song, and I think they kind of explore, hopefully, the future of the band. Um, the first song is Prima. Explores a little bit more ambient. The vocals are really beautifully done. It's definitely kind of exploring a more mature sound. Um, Again, a more ambient, atmospheric sound. Just a really great song. And then my favorite song on the album is the last song, Pulling Down the Moon, Before You. So it's just got a great bass line, really cool guitar riff. The way he sings it, really strong. The piano is just magic at the end. The way it builds up, so catchy. Very long track for their standards, 5.5 minutes. It really kind of shows what they can do when they expand upon a melody or a transition or a rhythm, and it really they just do a great job in um, in really expanding upon something in the sound, and generally that's kind of the hook of the song, or it turns into the hook of the song. Hopefully that's kind of a sign of the future of what they can do, because that song is a little bit, it's almost like Paradise in a way, that the first song I ever heard from them, the way it's so unique and the way it kind of ebbs and flows and long breaks and like a minute or 2 minute of instrumental part in there. The way the piano does, you just listen to that song, just Pulling Down the Moon, just great song. So overall, really strong album. And then just wanted to touch on a few of their EPs. So this is one of their early EPs, Golden Haze. I think most people will say this is probably their best EP. There's a couple songs on here very New Order-ish. Your Rabbit Feet is my favorite song on here. It's almost kind of like Dream Attack, if for those that enjoy New Order. There's a bass line guitar riff that's very catchy and um, not I wouldn't say it's like Temptation or anything like New Order like that, but it has a New Order kind of sound to it, and really great EP. Quiet Hours also sounds very very New Order. The song Take Me In, really shows their ability to expand upon the melody and the sound. Again, I wish they would do that a little bit more. Hopefully, that's the future. Um, excuse me, of some of the songs they do. Just and the title track, Golden Haze, really strong song. That's kind of an extension upon because it came out kind of in between Gemini and Nocturne, their first two albums. So if you like Gemini or Nocturne, definitely don't miss this EP. 6 tracks. They seem like outtakes of that period, but really strong. And then the only one I didn't do my research for on this band for this video was another EP called Empty Estate, which is also one of their more popular EPs. I've only listened to this a couple times. Came out in 2013, so after Nocturne, the year after Nocturne, I I can't remember being blown away by anything on this, but it's definitely solid. I got to revisit this. This is probably my homework for the day. Again, on bands like this, I listen to more on CD than vinyl. However, when I saw this in the record store, I'm not gonna, or when it came out, I'm not gonna pass it up. Um, I had a feeling they would be a band that I would really like and keep going back to, and I'm glad they proved me right on that, or proved me wrong on my being skeptical upon bands that kind of do the sound that seem to not be as good as Well Nothing. I think that's about it, though. I really enjoy their sound. Really look forward to what they're coming out with next. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see them when they came out in tour a couple weeks ago, but um, I saw them one time, so I think I'm fulfilled when seeing them live. But I will definitely look forward to taking some friends there, hopefully, and turning more people onto their sound. I think their sound is worthy and definitely to be enjoyed, and definitely look them up. Again, I'm curious on what your thoughts are for the people that really know Wild Nothing. What's your favorite songs on here, or what do you think about the album? Also, maybe what's your top three songs are, or top three albums? I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about Wild Nothing. If you haven't, check out Indigo. Check out the album Indigo. See what you think. I'd be curious to hear what you think about Indigo. If you guys like dream pop and shoegaze and indie and with a little bit of electronic, great guitar writing, great riffs, great melodies. Wild Nothing is a home run. So I'm excited for them to become more popular, and I feel like they definitely have a cult following. And once you listen to them, I think you'll like them. So if you like the Smiths and stuff like that, they're a home run. So thanks again for tuning in to Electronic Cafe. I'm Tim Humphrey, and thanks for watching this episode on Wild Nothing.